Anwar Ibrahim has stressed that he has not avoided answering any questions from opposition MPs in the Dewan Rakyat. The police gave an update on the investigation into the death of a Taiwanese influencer today. Stay tuned for all this and more on KiniNews. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has stressed that he is not avoiding questions from opposition MPs in the Dewan Rakyat. His remarks came after a brief commotion in the Dewan Rakyat earlier this morning, just before the start of the minister's question time.
Tasian Ketua, izin saja mula walaupun saya tahu Tuan Tan Sri Ketua telah jelaskan. Soalan yang dibangkitkan semua saya jawab. Tapi kalau soalan saya telah jawab 2 kali dan menteri dah jawab, itu juga ditanya, kita jawab itu juga. Dan itulah sebabnya mengapa saya setuju dengan keputusan Tan Sri Ketua. Nak mengatakan elak, saya tidak elak. Tanyalah apa soalan, saya tidak elak. Saya Kota Baru kena dengar. Saya tidak akan elak apa-apa soalan. Tapi kalau kita dah jawab, baca sampai peruntukan-peruntukan perjanjian itu, 5.2, 7.3, saya baca di medan ini. Kalau dia tak hadir ke tak dengar, soal lain.
It is believed that Anwar was referring to the Malaysia-US Reciprocal Trade Agreement, which had been a point of contention between the opposition and Putrajaya. Earlier, Dewan Rakyat Speaker Johari Abdul reprimanded the opposition after PN Chief Whip Takiyuddin Hassan brought up their right to have their questions answered by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim during the minister's question time. Takiyuddin had stood up before the session began and pointed out that the list only contained 2 questions for Anwar, both from government MPs. In response, Johari said the selection of questions is subject to his discretion. He said he had to be fair in his decisions and pointed out that the opposition had only submitted 1 question for today, compared to 8 from government MPs. Johari also said that all the questions from the opposition had already been answered by the Prime Minister before this. Police said that rapper Wee Meng Chee, who is better known as Namewee, had a special relationship with Taiwanese influencer Hsieh, who was found dead in a hotel room in Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Fadil Marsus reportedly said that investigations revealed that Namewee had been with the victim when they were abroad until their arrival in Malaysia. According to Bernama, he told reporters today that so far investigations have found that the suspect did indeed have a special relationship with the victim. He added that police have recorded statements from all individuals involved in the case. Fadil also said that police are still awaiting the full post-mortem and toxicology reports on the victim, which are expected to take some time. He added that the victim's body has yet to be claimed by her family. Fadil was quoted as saying that there was an individual who tried to claim the body, but we could not allow it as there was no authorization. Therefore, he said police urged anyone with information about the victim's family to come forward and assist in the investigation. Hsieh had been found dead in the bathtub of the hotel room in Jalan Conley on October 22nd. The case, initially classified as sudden death, is now being investigated as murder under Section 302 of the Penal Code. From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us. Sabah PKR has responded to UPCO's move to quit Pakatan Harapan. It said it respects UPCO's decision and thanked the party's leaders for their cooperation in their time together. However, it did not address UPCO's allegations that PKR had strong-armed decisions, as well as undermine UPCO's leadership and Sabah Harapan's autonomy. In a statement last night, Sabah PKR Chief Mustafa Sakmud only addressed disagreements about Sabah's autonomy as a state. He said Sabah PKR holds the view that the struggle to restore Sabah's 40% revenue rights, strengthen autonomy, and fair socio-economic development should not be a cause for division, but a basis for unity. Mustafa urged all parties, including UPCO, to continue prioritizing the interests of Sabahans and to continue cooperating under the spirit of national unity and reformation. Yesterday, UPCO Secretary General Nelson Angang had claimed that UPCO's chairpersonship of Sabah Harapan was never resolved by the Harapan Presidential Council due to objections from Sabah PKR. He said UPCO had been openly criticized for pushing its demands and that its president, Ewan Benedict, was only made a coordinator. According to Nelson, decisions regarding Harapan's election preparations were still decided by PKR without true autonomy for Sabah Harapan, contrary to the party's claims. UPCO had announced its decision to leave Pakatan Harapan yesterday. The decision was made at the party's Supreme Council meeting. In a statement, UPCO Secretary General Nelson Angang said that UPCO decided to withdraw from Harapan after considering its 4 years of involvement in the coalition and the call of Sabahans for Sabah parties to unite, starting with this election. He added that UPCO has always championed the Sabah First agenda throughout its time in Harapan. However, he said there has been a widening gap in interpretation, views, and stance between it and the National Harapan parties regarding various demands. Nelson stated that UPCO has concluded that only Sabah local parties truly understand the pulse, spirit, vision, and aspirations of Sabah's future and is prepared to work with other local parties to champion the Sabah First agenda. He added that the decision will be officially communicated to the Harapan chairperson and Harapan component parties. The statement came following UPCO President Ewan Benedict's resignation as Entrepreneur and Cooperatives Development Minister on Saturday over the revenue issue. While we are on the topic of Sabah, Bersatu Information Chief Tun Faisal Ismail Aziz has questioned what he described as selective enforcement of those who have been implicated in the mining scandal in the state. In a statement yesterday, he said the questions being raised by the public is if those with ties to the ruling parties are being shielded from investigation and prosecution. He said this concern is further heightened by the silence of Harapan leaders on the matter. He added that such perceptions not only tarnish the image of law enforcement, legal and judicial institutions, but also undermine public confidence in the principle of the rule of law and equal justice for all. Tun Faisal also urged the MACC not to disregard the revelations exposed by businessperson Abdul. He stressed that Sabah must be saved, and the Tangkap Jerong rally on November 14 represents the people's outcry from both Sabah and across Malaysia against the alleged corruption among GRS government leaders in Sabah and the practice of selective prosecution in this country. Yesterday, Federal Territories PAS urged Malaysians nationwide to attend an anti-graft rally scheduled outside the MACC headquarters this Friday in solidarity with Tay. If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe. Seputeh MP Teresa Kok has called on the government to limit or drop entirely the Attorney General's Chamber's appeal against a landmark High Court ruling. This was over the ruling which held the government and police liable for the disappearances of Pastor Raymond Kaw and activist Amri Chetmat. In a statement, Teresa said it would be unbecoming for the government to challenge the ruling's findings on liability. She said by appealing against liability, the government appears to be challenging the court's factual and legal findings, which effectively implies that the police were right and the learned judge was wrong. She added that this is inconsistent with the Home Minister's announcement to reinvestigate the cases and raises serious questions about the government's commitment to truth, transparency, and justice. With this, she urged the government to deliberate on the matter at the cabinet meeting today and said the best outcome would be for the AGC not to appeal at all. She said at the most, if an appeal is strongly urged by the AG, then it should only be on the damages awarded. Last week, Judge Su Tiang-ju found the government and police liable for the disappearances of Kaw and Amri and ordered the police to reopen their investigations into both cases. He also awarded 3 million ringgit to Amri's wife, Norhayati Arifin, and 6 million ringgit to Kaw's family. In addition, the government is to pay 10,000 ringgit per day for each day Kaw has been missing since February 13, 2017, until he is found. Entrepreneur and Cooperatives Development Minister Ewan Benedict has announced his resignation from the cabinet. The move followed his belief that the Attorney General's Chambers will continue advising the government to appeal a High Court ruling concerning the 40% federal revenue share owed to Sabah. When asked for his comments on this, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim said that Ewan may have acted too hastily, noting that the cabinet has yet to decide whether to proceed with an appeal over the ruling. We conducted a poll to get your opinion on Ewan's resignation, and here are the results. A majority of 57% view Ewan's decision as a brave yet risky stand in defending Sabah's rights. 36% believe his resignation was premature, saying he should have waited for the cabinet's decision. Meanwhile, 4% feel that while Ewan's intentions were genuine, he should have chosen a better time to step down. What do you think about Ewan's move? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.